Well, I hope you've all been practicing your basic Celtic knot, because this week we're going to make a fancy one. Coming right up. Hello everyone, I'm Carrie Buziak with AON Celtic Art. I'm a published author and a Celtic artist teaching modern techniques in ancient art. I've been teaching this technique for the last 25 years from my website and also in my new book, Creating Celtic Knotwork by Dover Publications. Before we get started today, make sure you subscribe to my channel and ring that bell so you're notified when new videos come out. This week we're going to work on a fancy version of that basic knot that we did last time. So you're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and a sheet of my AON dot paper. Again, the link is below. You can just download that off my website. So grab those things and let's get started. So just as before, we're going to use that AON dot paper. This time I want to mark off a bigger box. I'm going to make it a 5 by 5 box. So always remember again to have those big dots as your corner dots in any kind of shape that you draw. So start at the one big dot, I count across 5, and then I go down by 5 and draw my box. In my example, you'll see I made a plus sign out of some green lines. Just like our outside wall, we want these interior walls to also go from big dot to big dot. We're essentially using these inside walls a lot like the outside border, where we're crossing off a little dot that we're going to ignore later. So you can add them anywhere you like, rotate them around, make different shapes out of them, and combine them to make a unique pattern within your knot. Just make sure that you're not adding them on the diagonal. They can only go horizontally or vertically. The goal is to cross off those little gray dots so we make a change to the pattern. All right, back to our example. I'm going back to the plus shape that I was using before. Like our previous video, we're going to be making that tipped over tic-tac-toe board around those small gray dots. Don't forget the ones that are crossed off with that outside border or by those interior walls are left alone. When you're done, it should look something like this. Just like our basic knot, the next thing we need to do is add our corners. So looking at that top left corner, I'm going to connect those lines together. They can't go through that outside wall, so they go up, they bend around it, and connect with each other again below it. I add the other 3 outer corners in the same way. Because we've added those inside walls to our design, we create more corners in this pattern. Those inside corners are added the exact same way as those outside ones. We still have some open lines yet that we need to connect in the design. So up at the top there, you'll see I've got 2 sets of lines. They're kind of angled towards each other. I'm just going to connect them with a bend or kind of elbow shape. Connect all the rest of your open lines in the same way. Our last step is to weave the pattern. So just like with the basic knot, it doesn't matter which intersection you start with. I'm going to start with that top left intersection there, and I erase some of those inner lines to make it look like the strand is passing over the strand beneath it. Again, I suggest following that same strand around so you don't get lost in the design. You'll see by the red arrow in mine here, the one that I've picked and that I'm going to follow. So if that first intersection was an over and I'm following this strand, the next one it meets must be an under, and then an over, and then an under, making sure that I continue to alternate that pattern as I follow that line around. When I finish that strand circuit, there are still intersections that will need to be woven into the design. So I pick an intersection that hasn't been done yet. From the direction of the arrow, you can see it's just come from an under, which means this intersection must be an over, and the next one must be an under. Continue with the other links the same way, looking at where it just came from, and doing up the intersections remaining until the full knot has been woven. And once all your weaving is complete, you've finished your knot. Ta-da! And that's the fancy knot. As you saw, very similar to the basic knot, except for the addition of those little walls, which crosses off the little dot and makes changes within the pattern. If you run into trouble on anything, just include it in the comments below. I'll try and answer as best I can. My next video is going to be on some common problems that I see new weavers and Celtic artists run into, so I'll go through what I can there as well for you guys. Don't forget, subscribe to my channel and ring the bell so you know when that video comes out. My book, Creating Celtic Knotwork with Dover Publication, covers this plus a whole ton more of techniques. Supporters of my channel can reach out to me through my Patreon page. I have a bunch of different tiers there depending on your support level that you want to offer. I appreciate my Patreon supporters so much. Everything they do there just helps a little bit more in me working full-time again and creating tons more Celtic stuff for you guys to enjoy. That's it for this week, everyone. Bye!